or do this. Right? I gotta do this. That's the whole point. Guys, hello. This is the McAllister podcast. Before we get started with the episode today, we're going to promote the website, the thing that we're doing right now, McAllisterHours.com. It's simple, it's short, it's sweet. You don't have to go through the threads of Facebook, Twitter, Pornhub, Craigslist. You don't have to do any of these things. Instead, you just go to McAllisterHours.com. It's great. It's perfect. It's your one-stop shop for everything. If you're looking for merch in the future, if you're looking for, live events, this is where you want to keep a lookout for. So go check it out, McAllisterHours.com. Guys, are you trying to find your next spot for a show or event? Look no further, because Starbucks Productions is here to help. Even in the winter season when people aren't going out, it's still a good time to get in touch. Actually, it's probably the best time to get in touch with your people, your managers, your booking agents, etc. Because those spots are going to fill up for the next year. People are dying to get out. We're finally over this COVID hump. Despite what someone's father was saying the other day. Apparently it's round 3. I love how this is great. Anyways. These are dark times, people! They're always busy in emotion behind the scenes in the Midwest and have plenty of shows lined up. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Starbucks Productions Facebook page for all of your needs today. Guerrilla Graphics Design Agency can provide you top-tier effects and production value. Their team has everything you can ask for, including professional equipment and stellar end product from top to bottom. One of the best companies ever created, besides McAllister Hours. Jane, I love you, man. No, I'm part of this company, soon to be a part of this company. Still in the process, but we're getting there. And they do great stuff. I truly do love the work that they do. It's awesome. Head over to GuerrillaGraphics.com for all of your designs today. That's GuerrillaGraphics.com. Again, that's GuerrillaGraphics.com. Again, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is McAllister podcast. I'm your host, as always, Colton McAllister. We're joined today by pro lightweight MMA fighter Johnny Hopper. How the fuck you doing today, man?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You looked over my notes, so you know everything.
Hey, man, I needed a little run through. I didn't know what was going to happen today. I was overthinking.
This is, again, we do this quite often on the McAllister Hours. This is your first ever podcast, so congratulations for choosing this.
Thank you, man.
I was watching some of your videos today. Very impressive stuff. Like I was telling you, I have very little understanding of sports in general, but I could just tell in that video, when you, I don't remember I don't remember which fight it was. I think it was the first video that you sent me.
Cooper?
Yeah, I think so. But you came out of that like literally bloodied. Like you have a vigorating sense and passion. Let me ask you first, like, what do you think it is that like in your life that like gives you that drive and ambition to like keep fighting and do it?
It could be a lot of things. It could be my blood, the Mexican blood in me, It could be, right, for real. The Mexican boxers. It could be that. But my dad showed me MMA as a young kid. I've had a kind of a rough life. It wasn't like my parents abused me. My parents were actually great. They raised me right. My sisters were never really wrong to me. My family, nothing was ever really bad on my family aspect. It's just had a little bit of a rough start in life.
Sure, I get that.
And as a kid, I was always like really insecure. Like I always knew I could like hurt somebody, but I would get so mad and like frustrated. I'd just start shaking and almost cry. Like I would want to hit somebody, but I can't. And I don't know if it was just born or what, but it's just something that something in me just tells me to hurt someone. It's kind of weird. Yeah, man, it's kind of weird.
Dude, I only get that way on mushrooms, son.
That's me all the time. I wake up and I'm like, violence. It's kind of bad.
So so you think that's just because of your childhood? You're just like, that's your way of like getting over it or coping with it, or?
I wouldn't say getting over it, coping with it. I would say it is a motivating factor because I know I've been broke. I've slept without a bed. I've slept without eating dinner before, and
yeah, sure.
It's nothing on my mom's fault or anything, my dad's fault. It's not their fault. But I think coming from a rough beginning like that, I think that kind of helps me into not giving up in a fight for sure.
Hell yeah, man. Well, like I said, you have like a really passionate energy to you. Some stats, you actually are ranked number 1 in Iowa, which I think, again, congrats, like, huge honor for you to be here. 96 overall in the U.S. I guess that's another kind of question that I have. I guess how long has like you had the success that you've had with like, being, in these statistics? Has it been recent or has it been kind of a lifelong kind of deal? How's that worked?
Technically, I've been ranked in Iowa for MMA since I was 19 when I took my first amateur fight. I was ranked as an amateur then, so I wasn't a professional.
So when did you go pro, I guess?
2020, right before COVID. Literally the month before COVID, I had my professional fight, and then, well, not even a month, bro. It was February 29th of 2020, I had my pro debut, and then March 3rd, the world shut down. It was just like, or the next weekend maybe, because my coach was supposed to have a bare knuckle boxing match. Went to Kansas and they were like, no, the world closed, and he was like, okay. So right when I went pro, the whole world shut down, and I had no money. So, great.
So how do you think that has impacted your pro career then? Like, how long were you out?
I made my pro debut February 2020, and then COVID happened. I think that year in November, I had my next fight. So I was 2-0 by the end of the year. There was times where I was like, man, I need to give this up. I need to get a real job, because, it's not paying the bills, I need something to pay the bills. But I'm kind of glad I stuck through it.
You're lucky you're Lolo Savage. I'm just kidding. So you started at William Penn as a wrestler, correct?
Yeah.
So what was your experience like doing that?
So I started wrestling at the age of 8. My dad got me there. Well, my dad and mom. But I got an opportunity to wrestle at William Penn. And I did that for 5 years. I was a starter for 4. I had to redshirt 1 year. I could have redshirted another year for my knee, but I didn't. And my coach and I were talking after that. He kind of wished that I would have, because I could have done well. But, yeah. I didn't do that well, and I'm kind of ashamed about it.
Why do you think that was? Like, was it just you just didn't have the skill or their focus, or like what?
Definitely the focus. My focus wasn't on point. I was just a young kid. Man, it could be. I'm not the greatest wrestler. I'm gonna be honest. There's been kids out there that tore me up, and they'll probably think there's kids that I've wrestled with that have beat me in matches, and they'll be nice to me, and then they'll walk away and talk to somebody and be like, "Oh, I could beat him in a fight." Like, okay, bro. And this is when I was an amateur, and I wouldn't say anything. And now those types of people, they don't even they try to add me on Facebook. I don't add them back. I'm like, screw you, bro.
So let me ask you this though, because like I said, watching your clips, talking about wrestling, there does seem to be like a correlation in a way. Like there are moments where you're wrestling. Like I guess, do you obviously those skills helped you in some way, right? Like I guess like what translated and what's different about what you do now versus then? Besides the obvious, you're throwing punches and kicking and stuff like that.
I don't have to go to school. That's the main thing, man. The school part is what
I love that answer.
That kind of drove me away from wrestling a little bit. But yeah, I don't. So wrestling is just like a minuscule part of MMA, you know. It's
Sure.
Because mixed martial arts, it's everything put in together. You're in a cage and you're supposed to fight. It's like the most basic, bare minimum survival skill of a human being. So to go in there and to know how to box and know how to wrestle and know how to do it, throw kicks and punches, that all correlates together. So just because I was crappy in the sport of wrestling and not that good of a boxer and I can't throw that good of kicks and kickboxing, but if you put it all together, I could put everything together. So that's what the best thing about me is. I'm not good in here, I'm not the smartest here, but when I'm in the cage, I'm a genius.
Hell yeah, man. What about like your training? Like what goes into like when you're getting ready for this? Like obviously I understand a big part of wrestling is like making weight. I'm sure that's a challenge. Like what is your both your workout and your diet regimen in terms of that?
So I train every day. If I'm training for a fight, I train 2 times a day if I can. It'll typically be running and lifting and top of jiu-jitsu or some type of striking up at my gym in Ankeny Elite Edge. That's my baseline. That's where I go to learn my skills, and then I've been lifting my whole life and I've gotten better as a runner, so that kind of helps me keep. It's like a side activity I do to keep myself in shape to make me a better mixed martial artist. So when I'm training for a fight, I eat nothing but steak and chicken and sometimes potatoes, bananas, my multivitamins, my supplements, Elite Edge Labs. I do. They basically, that's what fuels me. So I don't be eating as much. I'd be really tired and fatigued, but my protein and my post-workout and pre-workout, all of that it keeps me top notch for sure.
Hell yeah. So like I guess what's the hardest thing about like making weight? Like because I'm a fucking foodie. I like to fucking hit the joint and like fucking just munch out and just eat a whole fucking frozen pizza and kill my fucking intestines. My intestines are screaming at me the next morning. But like I don't know, like how do you is it just like really that like just that focus and that drive? Is it all it is, or is there like tricks that you have to like keep off doing that?
Man, yeah, it is very hard to, because you don't know all the junk. I mean, you just explained the junk you eat, yeah. But as like the typical average American, I'll say, they don't know the processed foods that they eat. They don't know the garbage that they're putting in their body. And I guess I didn't know for the longest time up until so I would eat crappy and then I would cut weight and barely make weight, and I would wrestle crappy and I would have all these excuses for myself, and it was all just because of me. Like I was failing because of me. I wasn't, but it also, when I was in college, I was eating out of the cafe, and that cafe was just awful. It was not good.
Oh yeah,
it was
always
fake eggs. It was not real meat, and it was and they were wondering why all their athletes are getting injured because there's not proper nutrition.
Yeah, plastic pizza.
Yeah, exactly. It's like cardboard, and it's like it's good. Like when you're broke, yeah, that stuff's great. I can't complain because I've been broke and I've had that like pizza rolls for dinner. But when you're trying to be a successful athlete, you can't be doing that.
Yeah. Quick divergent. When I was in high school, I was telling you before, I was in cross country, and not to get political, but there was Michelle Obama pushed this thing where the school lunches got diminished.
Yeah.
And so like I remember everyone that was a runner was like always having to bring their own lunches, and like they were like complaining that like they weren't getting enough food, and the coaches were like, hey, my runners aren't getting the carbohydrates and the energy that they need to be able to perform. Like this is the whole, it's crazy.
Yeah, so when people talk about nutrition, they think eating healthier, but like you can eat something healthy that's really processed. I can eat a can of tuna. Yeah, tuna is healthy, but it's extremely processed. If you can go get fresh tuna, that's your best bet. Just like if you can go kill your own meat, that's your best bet. But a lot of us don't do that, so we go to our supermarket. The less processed food, the better, I think. And for me at least, I mean, if you look at my fights or the way I wrestled in college, I had a bunch of processed food, a bunch of crap, to now where I'm eating real clean. Well, not right now. I'm kind of eating whatever I want. But during a fight, like I'll eat real clean, and I I feel like the Terminator. I just like a machine and just go. It's crazy.
So is that another key part of it, like letting yourself have times where you just kind of let go and eat whatever? Or you're not really supposed to do that?
You're not supposed to do that. I mean, you shouldn't do that.
Sure.
As a mixed martial artist and an athlete, you shouldn't do that. My August fight, when I went up to Milwaukee and I made weight, it was kind of rough. But after that, man, I was just eating. And I got back up to 190. And I got up to 190, and then and it's like, it's not like, some of it's muscle, but it's like fat, bro. Like, I was pretty chunky.
You got the rolls.
Yeah, the rolls and everything. And then you just have to, just not eat and burn off that fat, and then try to clean your system. Prune juice. I know that's, you talk about that too. It's so funny, bro. It's so funny because
literally my profile picture.
literally, whenever I saw that, I started laughing. Prune juice is awful. It's so disgusting. But man, it cleans you out, man. It's a natural laxative. It's something that if you're eating crappy food and you're not drinking that, then you're just having all that processed food sitting you, and it's making you feel like crap and making you sick. So prune juice, I'm with you on that. It's gross though.
I'd be shitting.
Me too.
So like, are you eating like a lot of meat or protein, or like what, or like do you ever, I'm curious too, do you ever do like fasting?
Yeah, I do.
How long do you fast? Like, what's your longest period you'll do it?
I'll do no more than 24 hours.
Okay.
I don't think I've done anything longer than a day without eating.
Sure.
Healthy. I've probably done it in high school for longer periods of time, thinking I know how to cut weight, but I didn't. But it's kind of weird. You know how when you're craving chocolate, you're just like, I need chocolate. I need it right now. Or I need spicy foods, Whenever I get my body down to whatever the weight I need to be at, which it will be typically like 175, I'll have little fat on my body, probably like 10% fat on my body, and my body won't be screaming chocolate. It'll be screaming like steak. Like, my muscles need steak, and I'll eat steak and I'll be good, and then I'm low energy. Well, I need carbs, so then I'll eat breads and bananas and fruits for the sugars and all that. So it's, as I've grown, I've kind of been able to focus on my body and kind of tells me what I need.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to tell people, because you have to understand your body first. If you don't understand your body,
that's a very good point.
Because you, like, what you eat isn't going to be, like, some people are lactose intolerant, but I can drink milk all day and I'll be fine, bro.
Sure.
I can have a gallon of chocolate milk within a day, and it's kind of ridiculous to say, but it's like, it doesn't do anything like digestional wise. It doesn't make me messed up, but my body, I can drink that much because I feel like my body needs it. Like, I need the vitamin D, I need the calcium, and it helps. I've broken my hand before, and I've drinking milk and taken calcium, and it's within 2 weeks it's fine. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Do you have like a Nen Yahoo, like a chocolate milk?
No, none of that.
Shit. So, what do you think about? I guess I kind of asked you about the wrestling aspect. Like, what about like boxing in general, or like like how is like boxing, or maybe other I never really watched it. But, there's WWE. There's a whole fan base for that. I guess in the whole realm of like fighting and wrestling, combat. Yeah, exactly. Combat, mixed martial arts sports. I guess where do you think you fall in that? That's kind of a broad general question. But.
It is a very broad general question. I'll basically tell you a little story.
Sure.
So when I was a kid, I remember watching like a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or something on TV. My mom and dad were still together, and my dad saw that I was watching on TV and was like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "I'm watching wrestling, bro. Like, this is dope." I'm like 7 or 8 at the time, and he's like, "That's fake." It's like, "This is not fake. They're slamming each other. There's blood. That's obviously real." He's like, "No, man, it's scripted. The pain's real, but it's scripted. They know who's gonna win and all that." He was like, "You want to see real fighting?" He was like, "I'll show you real fighting." Sometime later, we went to a video store, like a Blockbuster, like a hole in the wall, And we went in the back room. And there was VHS, like all the old VHS, and typically the movies were black. They had black cases, and if they were cartoons like Nickelodeon, they'd be orange or green or something like that, some stupid. Well, this one was white, and I remember he grabbed it. I was like, "Why is this one white, bro? Is it like Holy Grail? Like, what's up? What's going on?" And we end up getting home, and he shows me, and it's like UFC 1 or 2 with Royce Gracie, and he's just messing everybody up. And I'm like, "Bro, that's fake." Like, you're telling me that what they were doing, they're slaving each other. This dude's like grabbing him by his legs and he's choking him, and they're giving up. Like, no way. And then he started explaining it to me. He was like, their quote's as real as it gets. And it kind of, jiu-jitsu kind of drew me in. And as my dad he was a floorer. He would lay carpet, and he would do both residential and commercial, and sometimes I would help him in the summer. And he took me to this place called Funhouse Pizza in KC Mo, and on the walls there was posters of like Mike Tyson and Tommy the Duke Morrison. He was from Kansas City, and George Foreman. And I would ask him about them, and he'd tell me stories about them and their fights and like their gods, like titans, and I would like get so fascinated. So I fell in love with boxing with first it was Ali and Tommy the Duke Morrison, and then WWE's more of a showman type of thing, but I guess you can count it towards combat sports because they're hurting each other. But it's not. It's more scripted.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But it's entertaining. You know, that's entertainment. If you didn't have that and you just try to watch fighting, like a casual fan like me will watch fighting, and no matter what, I'll be like, that's a good fight, that's a bad fight. But somebody that doesn't watch MMA like you need something like exciting. You need blood. You want to scream. You know, that's what the WWE showman aspect is. And
sure.
A lot of fighters will go in there and they'll be like, yeah, I'm the best fighter in the world, but nobody's watching you, bro. Like you could be the best fighter in the world, you're not gonna make money if you're like. But so. I kind of jumped all over the place, but wrestling definitely kept me grounded. It kept me disciplined. Boxing, definitely, I fell in love with throwing hands. I never thought I would have like knockout power. I seen my dad fight people on the streets, and I seen him like drop grown men, and I was like, as a kid, I'd be like he was short. He was like 5'7", and these dudes are huge compared to him, and he'd be dropping them, and I'm like, what? Like. It was just crazy what he would do, and I never thought I would be able to possess that capability. But if you watch some of my fights, I'd just be dropping fools left and right. It's just kind of fun. It's so easy, to be honest. But yeah, the whole like the WWE, that's more of a show. If you didn't have WWE, it's kind of hard to popularize MMA.
Sure. When you say like it's easy to take someone down like that, like I obviously I'm a layman, I'm not a fighter or MMA connoisseur, but like, is it like timing or just like muscle memory, or like what goes into your ability to be able to just be like, just find that time where you're just popping somebody and knocking them down?
Yeah, a lot of it is timing. I think wrestling helped me with my timing. To be able to look at somebody and read their movements before they do it is that's key. But to be able to throw a proper punch, not a lot of people know how to throw a proper punch. If you tell somebody to stand up and throw a punch, it's not going to look at what they're going to head's going to be up or not down. They're not going to turn their punch over. So to be able to throw a proper punch is really like the key, because if you can just touch someone at the right time on the chin and crack it like a whip, everybody falls. I've had dude in the streets who are like 250 and they're bigger than me. They should smoke me, bro. I have a scar on my knuckle because this dude, bro. Yeah, bro. It's from his tooth. This dude was messing with me, bro. I was at a party, and like the night before, I got kind of wild. Like I got really wild. I was like the next night I was being DD. I was being cool. Well, this guy, his girl didn't like me for good reasons. I would call her names, but she wasn't those names. She was very mean, and I didn't know they were dating. So this dude's trying to fight me, and he's getting his boys, and right as like they go outside, I'm inside. I'm like, this party ain't gonna end. And my buddy's like, hey, the party's over. Everybody's gotta go. Well, now I gotta go outside and see these dudes. I'm like, man, crap. And go out, and there's like 7 dudes in a line, and I'm like, oh no, I'm about to get jumped again. Like, I've been jumped at pin before, you know. So I had a couple freshmen that I were roommates with, and I was like, listen, you guys don't got to fight. Just don't let me get jumped, okay? If someone hits me from the side, grab them. You don't got to punch them. And we started like arguing. I didn't even know the dude's name, and then people started pushing each other, and he ran all the way around and came up, pushed me, and I put my hands up. I remember being so mad, and then he like, I don't know why, but he had his hands up, like, and he just walks forward, so, crack, and split my knuckle on his tooth, and there's blood all over my hand. He was grabbing the grill, trying to climb up, and so it's not a lot of, because the dude's bigger than me. He could have, like, in theory, grabbed me, killed me, dropped me on my head, but if you know how to throw a punch and you know how to fight, everything's so easy.
So what is it about the chin? Is it just like when you break it, it's just that painful? Or it's just your force or what?
I think honestly it's force. I think when somebody gets knocked out, there's a lot of different speculations on it because you don't really know. But the most common thing is like your brain being rattled in your skull. So something about your chin being like a lever almost. So when you get hit, and it'll rattle your brain if your neck's not strong. You know, if you get a strong neck and you're able to build up a neck, you can reduce your concussions a lot. But yeah, the chin is a weird thing. Some people can take punches. Like I've taken a knee to the face. I've taken kicks to the face. But
fuck, dude,
it's been wild.
It's proven that people have different bone densities as well. Some
Oh.
people have really dense bones. Like, it's big talked about that it obviously could just be speculation, but that like Logan Paul and Jake Paul are actually people that are thought to have some like really good bone density.
They're bigger dudes. I don't really watch them or know much about them, but they look bigger, like bigger dudes, and they look like they'd come from like Viking bloodline. So I don't doubt that. they may not be like the most technically sound, but those are some tough big motherfuckers, you know.
I gotta say, dude, people talk shit about Logan Paul, but the dude is like 6'4". He probably walks around at just like 220 pounds, something like that, just when he's walking around. I'm like,
Can't relate.
I don't think he can really box well, but like I wouldn't fight him.
It's a big dude. It's a big dude. That's a lot to handle.
So I'm curious, do you ever worry about like getting like CTE or any kind of effects from that?
I have people ask me that all the time. No. And
okay.
I see, I got like stories to say, to explain why. When I say no, people will be like, well, of course Johnny worries about his health. Like, you look how well you eat, look how much you run, look how much you lift and train. Of course, like, people are probably think I'm worried about my health, but the best way I can explain is when I was young, I just never felt like everybody else. I always felt different. I felt like an alien. I know I was a minority in Kansas. Like after I grew up in Kansas City, Kansas, and then house burnt down and moved to Baser, Kansas. It's a small town, and I was like the only Mexican kid there. The rest are white kids, you know. So then I would get in a lot of like arguments and fights, and they would be like, "Oh, well, Johnny's making fun of me for this," but they were making fun of me for my skin color. But like somebody would be like, "Oh, he made fun of me because I'm too short," you know. And I'm like, "Bro, you were making fun of me for my skin color," and I came back with that. Or I was arguing with some kid who was fatter than me, and he was just clowning on me for being Mexican, and everybody in the class is laughing. The teacher's watching me. I make 2 comments about him being fat, and then I get the detention. You know? So I never felt like anybody was on my side or anything, and I always felt like an outsider. And my sisters, they were the ones that I can kind of relate to the most. I grew up with them. Their blood, their family. They were always older than me. I was the youngest, and they always came up with some crazy ass ideas. We had this damn Ouija board, bro. Yeah, bro. So I don't like people. You don't have to believe in ghosts. You don't have to believe in God. But I gotta tell this story because it's a legit.
You're not offending anyone here, man. You're good.
Somebody listening, like they might be like, "Oh, Ouija board. Wait, he's lying." But I'm telling you, like I don't know, like 7, 8 years old. This was before I could really comprehend MMA and wrestling and boxing and everything. I think I was just like a dumb kid watching cartoons, playing video games, you know? I didn't know much, and I was kind of slower, young. And we take this glow-in-the-dark Ouija board. When we moved from Kansas City, Kansas to Baser, Kansas, we moved in this... we thought it was a house when I was a kid, but it was a fucking trailer built, and it had a fucking basement, a concrete basement. It was a trailer, though. It was out in the middle of nowhere. Right next to us was a cemetery. It's called Holy Angel Cemetery. We would fucking climb the barbed wire fence, go into the cemetery, and use the Ouija board. Like... geniuses, right? Like, that's brilliant. Still to this day I see ghosts, and like they'll do stuff, shit will fall, and I'm like, there's ghosts around me, but they're not harming me, but they're like, haha, bro, we're here. And I'm like, all right, bro, like, I messed up as a kid. We played with that Ouija board too much. And one time it was like my sisters and I and my cousin, and we were in the where they put like the coffins on the dead bodies, bro. We were literally sitting with this Ouija board, doing this Ouija board, bro, at night, bro. Like, bro, yeah. I don't know what we were thinking. My sisters are probably listening right now, laughing. They don't really remember the conversation, but I remember this conversation because they wouldn't let me touch the Ouija board. They thought I was gonna lie and mess it up, so I had to sit and watch my sisters and my cousin do it, and they were asking questions and. It was like getting crazy. They were like, who's going to get married first out of all my sisters, my cousin? And then it like said my cousin, and that was right. And I was like, who's going to get pregnant first? And it said my cousin. And it would like go down the line and tell them like what's going to happen. I don't remember if it was accurate on them. I'm pretty sure it was, though. I'm pretty sure it was really fairly accurate. Well, they get to the end, and I'm like, well, what about me? Like, I'm not using the Ouija board. I'm not the one touching it. But I'm on the outside, and I'm like, bro, like, I'm here. What about me? And they were like, what about Johnny? And the Ouija board, it like freaks me out to this day. It spells out knockout. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what does that mean? My sister was like, oh, you're going to be handsome when you're grown. Obviously, that didn't work out, you know. So it's kind of crazy that Ouija board predicted I was going to be a professional fighter. Like, it said knockout. And I never, like, knew. At the time, I wasn't grasping the concept. Like, man, I'm going to be a professional. I was like, what does that mean? And for the longest time, I was like, what does that mean? Until I was an amateur fighter, and I started knocking people out. And I was like, maybe that's what that meant. Started putting it took me like 20 years, but that's one reason. Like, MMA has been drawing me, and not only that, something about combat has been telling me I need to do this. And then, so we do that Ouija board, and one of my sisters does it again. Her and I are doing it this time. And I remember the Ouija board telling me that I was going to die at like 34 or 36. I remember crying, being a little kid. My dad comes up and he gets mad, like, why are you crying? And my sister tells him, like, it wasn't me, it was the Ouija board, like, I promise. And like, I believe her. Like, she wasn't really, I don't think she was doing it to be ill will. If she was, she would have been like, okay, I'm sorry. She would have felt guilty. But I was like crying and like, damn, I'm not gonna live to see 40. Like, what? Like, I remember like freaking out, and my dad being mad, and he burned the Ouija board. Then that's the last time I saw Ouija board. Yeah, for real. So when people ask me questions like that, like, are you worried about your health? Yes and no. Like, yes, I could retire right now, and well, I couldn't even really say retire. I didn't have a really career. I'm 7-1. I hate when people are like, oh, I'm retired. You're 2-2, bro. You're not retired. You never had a career. But that's how that's how I view myself. I could retire. I could start a family. I could have a job. I mean, went to college. I have a lot of skills I could do. But something about MMA has been drawing me since I was a kid. And knowing that I'm going to die in my mid-30s, if that's true. But I have like a firm belief that that's true. You know, like I am okay with me dying by the age of 35. Like, I am fully okay, because what's been happening in my life with MMA and like how much I've grown and blown up and people are just kind of noticed me, I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to die for my cause. And that's a honest truth.
Oh yeah. So let me ask you this then. What is your cause? Like, is it something other than just, like kind of what we talked in the beginning, or is there something? Okay.
It was there's a lot, like, yeah, there's what I was talking about, my family. I've seen my sister struggle a lot. I've seen my mom has struggled a lot, and she's done a lot for me to be able to, like, wrestle, you know. I would have, like, a wrestling camp, and she would be like, how much money is it? And she would figure it out, man. She would be waitressing, and she would come up with the tips and give me the cash, and I was really ungrateful as a kid and growing up, and I never realized that until I was a man, where I had nothing. I had, like, a torn ACL, and I couldn't walk, bro, and, like, I had to just sit there and contemplate my life. Like, can't walk, can't wrestle, can't fight, I can barely walk, you know. Like, who am I? And I think I found out who I am over the past 6 years. My sisters don't even know the same man that I am now. Like, it's kind of sad. I haven't seen them in so long. My mom. I'm definitely not the same person. And it's sad to say, but it's also good to say, because I've grown a lot as a human being, as a mixed martial artist, as a man, as a brother, as a son. But I think a lot of my purpose with MMA and the will and the heart and desire to do it is to help my family, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, man. I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Right. Yeah.
I think you changing as a person, I think everyone should strive to be that. I think if you were a different person a decade from when you were, you know, at that point, then I think you're doing the right thing at that point.
Yeah. For sure.
For sure, man. So let me ask you this. Sorry, I'm looking at my fucking notes.
No, you're good.
You worked with Anthony Petis.
Pettis.
Sorry. you were showing me a video about that, because, you know, I'm so uneducated.
Out of the loop.
Exactly. What was your experience like working with him?
As a kid, I used to watch him, and I'd be mesmerized, like the Showtime kick that I showed you, and he would do some crazy stuff, you know, and it was kind of surreal to get a message and an opportunity to fight for him. I was like, man, like, maybe I am doing something. Maybe they want to make a name off of me, you know, maybe they want to get somebody to knock me out, but that wasn't the case. And then they ended up liking me, and they're like, hey, they want to stick with me, they want to help me out. Pettis he's actually a stand-up dude. You would think that the money and fame would get to most people. It doesn't seem like it got to him. He's like a down-to-earth, cool, chill. Every time I see him, he smiles, and he's like, what's up, bro? Like, him and my coach actually trained for a little bit back in the day. So it was kind of like, almost like fate, like things were to fall into place, and for him to offer me the opportunity to fight. So he's a real dude, for sure.
Hell yeah. So you live in Oskaloosa. What's it been like being in the pro scene, and like kind of living in rural Iowa in a sense, you know? What is that like for you?
At first there was like nobody paying attention to me, which is fine. Like, I don't think any fighter should get paid attention to, because anybody can be like, oh, I want to be a fighter and get paid millions and then retire and do whatever you want, you know? But I think you have to earn that right to get paid like that. To be able to not grow up, but live in rural Iowa during this time has been really fulfilling. I've met a lot of people through MMA, a lot of sponsors, a lot of friends, new friends, a lot of coworkers, I guess, especially at the Rock Island Tap, that bar in there. Like, that's the best bar in that town. And I it's a very biased opinion for me to say that, but I've been in the other bars, and you can just tell, like, the cleanliness of one bar to another, and you can just tell, like, the standards. The Rock Island Tap, they're not a bar where you have weirdos hanging out. That's more of the other bar by the Hy-Vee, you know. But living in rural Iowa during this time has kept me out of trouble, you know. I'm not in, like, Florida or New York or California where I, like, let's go to the club on the weekend. Like, no, bro. I live in a quiet, small town, and it's just a lot of the support that I've been getting from that town is kind of surreal.
That's awesome, man. So let me ask you this: if like, I mean, obviously your career's taking off. Number one, Iowa, that's impressive as fuck. You're getting there. You know, if you hit that point, how would you feel about moving to one of those cities? Like, let's say Joe Rogan called you up and was like, "Hey, I want you on the next." What's his like? He has like his wrestling, wrestling, fighting, MMA type of show. I don't remember, but anyways, what would you do if that happened? Would you rethink it?
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I like the quiet life, to be honest, to be able to have my own privacy and just be able to go home and chill. Like that's nice. But the opportunities that will be at like bigger cities would be ideal. You know, the money's there, the spotlight is there for me to get my name out there. I don't think I would ever move out of Iowa while I'm being a professional fighter, though, because something about Iowa, it's underrated, especially in the fight scene.
I agree. Well, I don't know anything about the fight scene, but Iowa in general.
Iowa generally, yeah, is definitely underrated. It's very cheap and costly to live here. It's very costly, so that's why I've liked it.
Yeah, I think Iowa is number one in affordability in the U.S.
Perfect. It was perfect for me.
Yeah, it's great, man.
And yeah, the affordability is kind of what it has made me stay here. It's kept me humble. It's kept me focused. It's definitely kept me just driven, for sure. But the one thing I like about, well, I don't like about it, is like how cold it gets. You know? It gets so cold, and I hate the cold. It's awful. I hate the snow. I hate everything about it. But to be able to go out and run in -10 weather, run 2 miles, run 3 miles, when somebody in California can't do that. I think that gives me the edge. For sure. It sucks. Like, imagine waking up every day taking a cold shower. You don't have the option of hot water. You had to take a cold shower. Imagine how that would change you. That would, yeah. Imagine running in -degree weather while it's snowing.
Dude, when I was in cross country, we did that.
Yeah,
we had the sweatpants. I remember we would all we'd be running 2 miles, and we'd all look at our balls, look how small they are.
That's hilarious. That's great. That's great. I ain't never heard some shit like that.
Oh my god. Going back to your Ouija, I'm curious about your. So you really believe that that was a real experience?
Yeah, that was 100% real experience.
Damn.
Yeah, man, that was wild. I remember that. Yeah, man, that when I tell people that they kind of disregard it, but there's some people that when I tell them, they're like, that first story about the knockout, they're like, what? But then I tell them about if I'm gonna die at the age of 35 or 36, I have 10 more years to live, maybe, and they're like, well, don't say that. Well, what's wrong with that? Death is such a pivotal part of everybody's life. We're all gonna die. You're gonna die. I'm gonna die. And for me to be comfortable with dying, I think that's able for me to go out there and perform a little bit better. I don't care if I win or lose.
Hell yeah.
I got a question to kind of add on to that. What was it like with is your dad Mexican?
No.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I know a lot of Latino Hispanic people, and when it comes to shit with Ouija boards and demons, bro.
My mom.
They're lit.
My dad burned it right away, and dude, I'm dead ass. They're fuck no. I had this homeboy back in the day. He's I don't fuck with owls. They I don't know, owls or look at something like that.
Yeah.
They don't fuck with. He's I don't fuck with owls.
Owls are a little creepy. I wouldn't say I don't fuck with them, but owls are a little. You look at them, they're a little suspicious. They're an owl can turn its head all the way around, motherfucker.
What, do they swoop down and pick up Mexicans? Is that the?
No, bro. They're it's something spiritual about them. There's a spiritual energy. Yeah, it's like a raven. You don't fuck with the raven.
My sister, who we always used to call her little evil child and shit, demon child. I mean, she's okay though, but she's got a fetish with fucking owls, dude. Owl everything. But I'm something's wrong with you.
Yeah, my mom is super Catholic, so she hates Ouija boards and can't fucking I just haven't gotten around to getting one, but it's I'd fuck with one.
So I guess whenever you do the Ouija board, you have to say like goodbye. You have to tell them goodbye. If you don't, then apparently you keep open that connection. But I think I don't think I ever said goodbye as a kid. I think I was just dumb and just stopped. Thought it was a board game. And now like stuff will happen on my Xbox will turn on. Or one time I was brushing my teeth and like I just got out of the shower and the mirror's kind of foggy. Brushing my teeth and I spit out my toothpaste and I looked up and I seen like the mirror is foggy, but at the bottom of my door I could see feet, bro. And it like, bro, I remember I like squeezed my toothbrush and broke it. I turned around thinking I was gonna scrap right there. Like, who the hell is in my place? But it was nobody. And then I was like, okay, it was probably a ghost. Like, I need to chill. I've had like weird things happen, ghosts. But nothing like bad. I don't think they can hurt me.
I was gonna say, have you thought about like just going to a Ouija board just to close that shit up? Just be like, I'm just doing it in the same pace.
That's a brilliant idea,
Here, I'll get one for you. We'll split on one.
I might have to do that. Just go on it and say hello, goodbye.
Do not fucking bring that shit in the room if I'm there. I don't fuck with that shit.
That is wild, bro. It is nuts.
I don't know if you saw on our door when we walk in, our key holders like the devil, the goat devil with the star.
I didn't even notice it, bro. That's funny.
This is Satan.
What'd you put me on? You put me on Satan's podcast? I'm playing.
Basically, hey, I'd take that. I'd take that credit. Oh, fuck. I'm curious. You were talking about hunting earlier. You ever go hunting?
I've never gone hunting.
Okay.
I would like to. The extent of my outdoors is like camping and fishing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I fuck with that. I really enjoyed camping in Wisconsin. That was like a thing I did a lot as a kid.
I've only been to Wisconsin twice, and that was to fight, and I liked it. So I need to go up there again for sure. Like the Dells, or the Wisconsin Dells is nice. Never been there.
Huh. What is that? Is that just like
I think it's
just nature-y type
yeah,
of... Okay.
like a little probably a little cave or something. I don't know what it is, but I heard it's nice. I need to go out. I don't go out much.
We went to there's this place in Wisconsin called Minocqua. It's like this town like on the lakefront and shit. And it's really cool. They do they have they called Aquarina Acrobats or something like that. Like it has a whole culture and a thing. It's like just like a hippie lakefront town. Yeah, I want to go back there and just like as an adult, just be like, step out, just be like smoke a joint, and be like, I used to just like canoe here, and I think that'd be really fun. Johnny Hopper, I have one more question. This is kind of just a fun question before we maybe wrap up. What's like your favorite fighting / boxing, whatever, or combat sport film?
Film?
Yeah.
Man, I got a lot. I like Southpaw. I like Bleed for This with Vinny Pazienza. Warrior's good with the MMA. All the Rockies, but I mean that's old school.
Hey, Rocky's some good shit. I still vibe. I'll fuck with Rocky any day.
The Rocky's OG for me.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to think off the top of my head. I'll probably say Warrior, that MMA one with the two brothers. That's a good one.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those, unfortunately.
Warrior's a good one. It's about two brothers that used to wrestle, and they had like a troubled dad. Yeah, you've seen it. And then they end up fighting each other at the end.
Kind of corny, though.
It's kind of corny, but it's
that one big ass dude. It's kind
he fights Kurt Angle in the movie, and Kurt Angle's supposed to be this Russian dude. His name was like Koba.
Was that Kurt Angle?
That was Kurt Angle. Yeah, he was so shredded, bro. He looked like a Russian, but that was Kurt Angle.
You ever see The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke?
Yeah,
that's a really good one.
I used to watch that as a kid. Me and my dad watched that
as a kid.
It was messed up. Yeah. Well, I thought like as a kid I was growing up wrestling, and I was like, oh, this is a wrestling movie, and my mom was like, yeah, and she got it for me. It was not a wrestling movie.
No.
I mean, it was a good movie. It's like American History X. You're like, damn, that's a messed up movie. It's a good movie. You're like, damn, I shouldn't have watched that as a kid. But I mean, I was really mature for a young, like at a young age. I like seen a lot of like life. It wasn't
sure.
So I kind of like was able to watch those movies with.
Sure, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like to be able to watch it and not be influenced by it because I've already seen some shit.
You know, Mexicans always watch fucked up movies as kids.
Bro.
Like, all my friends that were kids, they were always like, yeah, I watched Chucky 3. I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't know why. We always watched horror movies, bro. We just loved it.
Literally, dude, I want to tell you this. When I play Warzone, if there's motherfuckers that only speak Spanish, and I love Hispanic people. Like, I really love it working with them, especially, and having them as the crew. But if they're, like, only speaking Spanish, and I'm like, amigo, and they just, like, keep going off, I'm like, get out.
Get out.
Like, we're trying to team up with them people on the team. I'm like, dude, these guys are going to be like, fuck you, puto. Like, swear on my life, bro. All of them, bro. Because I'm just like, I don't know what it is. These Mexican guys got it like that, bro. They're trying to run you the fuck down right now.
That's kind of the bad thing about Mexicans. I grew up in Kansas City, you know, so there's a good Mexican population there, but if you don't grow up in, like, southern, like, Texas or, like, those types of area, or, like, California maybe, you're not seen as, like, Mexican. So a lot of the times, like, the Mexican community will see me as, like, a white guy. But then like,
okay.
a bunch of white people won't see me as white. They'll see me as a minority. So I would never be able to, like, fit in, you know, especially, like, on the wrestling team when I was in college.
I lived that life.
Yeah,
too.
bro. Yeah, you know, you're a minority
People
grew
think I'm
up in.
Mexican all the time. I really want to say, too, that a Mexican guy, apologize. He's actually Mexican, dude, not just Hispanic. He's straight Chicano. Like, there's another guy, he's like, he's only half Chingon because he's from Honduras and he's not from Mexico. I'm like, okay. He's apologizing to me one time because we got into a real, like, we almost got to fighting. And he was like, now listen, I'm going to apologize to you, but don't interrupt me because I'm ready to kill you on the way to Mexico. And I'm like, this is how you're starting your apology, bro? Like, bro, they bounty, bro. It's like, that's a fucking culture that, like, is fucking respectable. They're respectable in the fight game a lot, too.
Yeah.
So, like, it's honestly no surprise. And I think that, like, what you saying that earlier, like, I think that could really play a big role in that, like, just that they fucking got heart, dude. Dude, people talk about it all the time, like how hard Mexican people work. It's no cap.
Yeah.
Like, they fucking go balls to the wall with whatever they fucking do, and they fucking do it until they're like, all right, I gotta stop.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, that's how it was with wrestling. They tell me to go, and I just go and go and go. My body would break, like, tear my ACL. I can keep going. I would go. I wrestled a whole college season with the torn ACL. It would dislocate. Yeah, it was awful. I would have it taped up and everything. It was probably my worst season as a competitor, but it definitely changed me for sure.
I still want to hear about that. I want to hear
Oh,
about
yeah. Okay, so...
like, your later years of wrestling, coming back after that injury.
So I wrestled all since, like, the age of 7 or 8 up till high school. Got an opportunity to... Never did anything in high school. I wasn't that good. People are going to listen. And some people will be mad at me, like, you were a good wrestler. And then there's a lot of people back home that are like, yeah, you're not a good wrestler.
I would personally say, because I'm not a yes man, the Johnny Hopper that I saw as a wrestler, I would not say was a good wrestler.
Right.
I don't think I was a good wrestler either, though. But I didn't see it.
So my freshman year, I came into college, and I remember I was training. After I graduated high school, I went to Team Kansas, went and wrestled at Fargo. I didn't place, but I did well. And then I kept lifting, kept training, and got into college. Was beating up a lot of the college guys, a lot of the starters. Ended up wrestling, and it was on Halloween. We wrestled at a tournament. It was in Nyack. And I remember being so nervous before my first match. I puked. I don't know why. I'm not a puker like that. But I was, like, so nervous. And then it was against a decent kid, but he was beatable. And I let him pin me for some weird reason. I mean, he was good. I'm not saying, like, he wasn't good. He was good. He pinned me. And then I remember being upset and was like, well, that was the worst case scenario. No, what's worse than that, being pinned? So then I was going to wrestle my next match, and then it was like another bye, and then an injury default. And then I finally got to wrestle again. Well, it turns out there's something worse than getting pinned. I got my ACL torn because the kid couldn't take me down. He was getting frustrated. He had a single leg, and I was standing up, and he pulled me, so I'm doing the splits, and he pushed his shoulder in and he lifted up my heel. So my knee bends like this, and he's bending it the other way. And it just popped. And I remember screaming, and people were making fun of me, saying, oh, you didn't hurt your knee, you're faking it. I ended up going to the doctor, and they're like, well, it's partially torn. And I was like, okay, so what does that mean? They're like, during that time, they were like, we can't do anything about it. You just have to wait till it fully tears. So I was like, okay. So I had to keep wrestling. Ended up wrestling the rest of my freshman year and doing really well. I was placing at tournaments and, beating some good guys in the nation and all that. And ended up not doing what I wanted to do at the end of my freshman year. And remember seeing a bunch of that. Like, we were on this bus. We had to get shuttled to the showers. And it was me and my buddy, who was also a freshman. We were just sitting there and we were pissed, and there was all these seniors coming in from different schools, and they're like, oh, I'm glad wrestling's over. I'm glad. And I was like, I can't relate to that. Like, you guys have weak mindsets. Like, I'm not like that. And so my next year, I thought I knew everything, and I thought I was the man. I thought this, I thought that, and ended up not doing well again, and just doing all the wrong things. I had a lot of the wrong people around me too. That was one thing. Like, I had thought people that were my friends, they were not my friends. They were just nuisances.
Oh yeah.
And into my sophomore year, didn't do what I wanted to do. That next year, I redshirted, so I was wrestling at these open tournaments at whatever weight, like 174, and I'd be drinking and weighing in the next day and placing at these tournaments, like not caring, like just being a loser. And past that season, my next season, it was technically my senior or my junior season, and after that season, I had my third amateur fight, and I won, knocked the dude out. He was a scrub. You're a scrub. And then I went home after, and I was living with my buddy Otto, and I was at a wrestling practice, and some dude and I were in a body lock position, and then my ACL just pops, just blows up in my knee, and I'm like on the ground, like crawling, and I'm cussing, and I'm like, man. And then, of course, people were like, oh, you're okay, you're faking it. I'm like, bro, no, something's wrong. Well, that was at the beginning of the summer. I had torn my ACL fully. I went that whole summer. I had to work at a liquor store. I was still running. I didn't know. I didn't have money for an MRI or doctor. I was living in my buddy's basement, I had no money. So I went through that whole summer. Was like, if I can act like I tore my ACL in the college room, they'll pay for my surgery. And I got through, and my knee ended up popping again when I was at college. And they sent me to the doctor, and they were like, yeah, it's fully torn, like we can have surgery. And I was really upset about it, and it was kind of crazy because it was like my head coach at the time, it was like his last year as a head coach, but now he's back as an assistant. But he was like, well, can you tape up your knee and brace up your knee? And I was like, well, you need me to wrestle, like you need me to fill a spot? And I guess he needed me to fill a spot, and I would wrestle that whole season with the torn ACL. I would tape my knee, I would put a sleeve on it, a brace, and then another sleeve, just to keep my knee together. And I had to change up my whole wrestling style. The muscle in my leg just went away. It was it was crazy. I used to wrestle at 165, but I was losing so much muscle in my leg that I dropped down to 157.
Damn.
And didn't do well. That was a really bad year for me. After wrestling, I had surgery, and it was like March of 2017 or 2018 or something like that I had surgery. And during that time, I was going through a bad time in my life. Like I was telling you, I was trying to figure out who I was as a man, and I've always known that I needed to do mixed martial arts, and I needed to pursue that, and that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't because of my knee. And I started thinking, like, what am I doing? I'm partying. I have all these yes men around me, all these fake people, and people that would be, oh, you're so great, and then go and talk behind my back to another teammate of mine, and then they act like nothing. you know. And so I just couldn't. I had those types of people around me, so eventually I just like quietly cut people off without telling anybody. And then I had friends that I was friends with then that I'm still friends with now because they've grown as human beings and they've gotten in contact with me, and you know, so I'm still friends with some of those people. There's a lot of those people that will try to hit me up on like Instagram or something. Even people in high school, I don't give them the time of day because like, where were you when I needed you? You know, I needed a lot of people, and I needed it's not my mom's fault because I did need my mom, but I didn't tell her. You know, I didn't want to tell my mom. I didn't want to tell my sister. I didn't want to tell my friends. But as a friend, I know when something's wrong. I can go to my friend and be like, something's wrong. Like, what's up? Like, you need to talk, you know? I never had a friend like that. And it's kind of sad to say, you know? I mean, you might not have a friend like that, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can totally relate to that, man. When you go through life, you learn there are a lot of people that are just stand by, just, you know, set in life, not willing to grow. And, like I think when you know, like we talked about, when you're in that mindset growing, you need other people who are willing to grow with you. Yeah,
you need those types of people. And if somebody doesn't want to grow and they just want to party and drink and want to make a steady check and live life to the fullest, like, more power to you. But
yeah, for sure.
I can't align myself with that, you know? Like,
different types of people.
Different types of people, to each their own, like, for sure. And there's a lot of people that were in my life that I thank God they're not in my life no more, for sure.
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. Giant Hopper, we're a little over an hour. I think this is a good place to wrap up. What do you want to mention anything before we wrap? Is there anything on your mind, or, you know, socials, or you have fights coming up, or?
Nothing signed just yet. Some big moves for next year. It might be the biggest move of my whole life. We'll see. But I want to give a shout out to Elevar Wellness, the Rock Island Tap, C Phoenix, Brad Martin, Ameriprise, Blake Huggins, and Concrete Cowboys and Huggins Concrete. Man, there's a lot. I gotta think of all of them. I should have brought the list. I wasn't thinking properly. Yeah, it's basically my mom and my dad got me into this, and my mom didn't want me to do it at first, but it kind of just led into this whole crazy career. And man, it's gonna be wild what's gonna happen. You're gonna see some crazy moves over the next few years with me.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to see that. Hell yeah, this is a fun episode, man. Johnny Hopper, good to see you. Good to meet you. I wish you luck on your career. Like I said, impressive stats, and I'm really glad that Lauren was able to get us together. Guys, this is the Cal Stars podcast, as you know, every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Go check out our Patreon. And also, I keep forgetting to announce this, we have a new website, actually, www.mcalsterhours.com. If you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it. You can donate directly. There's a lot of things you can do there. So go check that out. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.